Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of X-Men the Animated Series Season 2, Episode 6, Externally Yours. This originally came out December 4th, 1993. Please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of my reviews of anything X-Men. This whole channel just covers things related to X-Men, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. So the last episode was really focused on Wolverine and learning about Wolverine's backstory a bit. And now we switch over to Gambit, which is exciting. I like to see that they're doing episodes like this where we can get more into the characters and what happened in their past. At first, we see it's about Cyclops and he's training in this danger room, but this is all set up because it's really all about Gambit here. And he gets a phone call that's happening from a man named Pierre. And he says, Raimi, the first time we hear him call that in the show. And he tells him that Bobby, his brother, is in trouble and he disappeared. And if he isn't there with the tithe, something bad is going to happen. I do think it's fascinating in a kid's show that they elected to use the word tithe because I just found out what this word meant an hour ago. So I feel like for kids, it's got to be one of those things in the 90s you had to ask your parent or find an actual hard copy dictionary to find what that means because they say it the whole episode. So what happens during this, though, is that Gambit leaves Cyclops on hard mode in the danger room, and it's Cyclops fighting all the recent foes. The best part is Rogue runs in and is like, Cyclops was alone in there. You could have killed him, and Gambit could not care at all. He's like, I gotta go back home, Cher. They're gonna waste my brother. So good. So it actually starts with a little flashback here of Gambit, and we see him when he's out of his usual attire. And it's in Louisiana, and you have these two groups of thieves and assassins. And this was about 10 years ago when they had to get the tithe to who we meet is the external. And she's like, 10 years have passed. The time for the tithing has come. So this is something they repeat every decade. And we'll see, again, will be the focus at the end of the episode. And in this example of the past, it sets up nicely to explain how this all works for later on the final scene. But the external gives the assassins an increase of power for the tithe from their chosen one. And poor Bernard, who was the chosen one for the thieves, is literally like 2 seconds late. And the external's not having it. And she gives no mercy and is like, fly from this world to a darkness never ending. Brutal. And that's it. Then she's like, I'll see you in 10 years. Before she goes, though, she does make Bella, Donna, who's an important character here, of the assassin's chosen one now. And Bobby, Gambit's brother, has become the thieves' chosen one. So the team is worried about Gambit. And Wolvie walks in and he's like, I hear you need help tracking occasion. Looks like he got a little of his licks in before he left, talking about Cyclops, so that was really good. So when Gambit meets Pierre, he learns that Bobby has been captured by the assassins and they have the tithe. And today is the day of this ceremony. But we also learned they don't want to kill Bobby. They want to exchange Bobby and the tithe for you, meaning Gambit. So they do a good job making this an interesting story. And what's so impressive about this show is doing stories like this in 20 minutes and making it satisfying enough while also having to explain the rules of this whole group of assassins and thieves and still getting us invested in time and not making it boring. I also think it was interesting. Jean has a line here where she's like, I wish he would have asked us to help him. After all this time, he should trust us. It's like, really, Jean? We've been through this with Gambit where people don't trust him. So it's amazing that they demand that he trusts them better. It's very, very crazy to hear her say that. You'll even see at the end of the episode that when Cyclops talks about how he has a lack of trust with them and should have told them everything, Jean says it's going to take time and they're going to work on that. So she's understanding the patience they have to have with Gambit, but you almost wish they'd look at themselves and realize how untrusting they've been of him, and maybe they should address that first. Now, Gambit goes to the Assassin's headquarters to see Bobby with his pencil scratch beard he has there. It was the most jarring animation to date for me, seeing that. And Gambit's sick of all this fighting. He's sick of the thieves and assassins and this divide. Part of the reason why he left. And he's like, you got me in the guild, Bobby. You made me a thief. Why? I was your brother. So that's a nice way to also introduce a little more understanding of how this situation came up for Gambit. And a lot of it was against what he really wanted to do. And now Bella walks in and she has this tithe. And we learn from her that her and Gambit were to be married. And they tried to bring the guild together, but it didn't work. And that's why Gambit says they wouldn't have let us live. And she's like, you could have taken me with you. I still wear your ring. But then she's like, I have one for you, and if you wear it, I'll let your brother deliver the tithe. And Bobby just takes the tithe and is like, sorry, bro, see you later. And Gambit puts the ring on, and it traps him and takes his powers away. And she's like, you leave me once, you not leave me again. So this is the crazy X situation here going on for Gambit he's got to deal with. I also love visually how Rogue just carries Wolverine and Jean over the trees to get to the assassin's headquarters. That was so funny looking. And Wolverine goes, Gambit actually lived in this dump? No wonder Gambit's so messed up. Thought that was so good. And then they fall through the trapdoor. And I like visually too how they just keep true to the characters and how Jean and Rogue just casually use their powers to float to break their fall. And when they encounter the thieves that are also here, one throws a door at Rogue and she puts her hands up just like this to break it. And it's like, I like a man who'll open a door for a lady. I thought that was good. And it was cool moment for Wolverine to see him threaten Pierre and put his face in the middle of his claws. That was sick. And then Bobby informs them about what Belladonna's doing. And at one point says to Rogue that she is Gambit's woman. And her face just does that shocked face, you see. And it's crazy that Bella had a wedding suit waiting for Gambit all these years. And then we learn her master plan is that she actually gave them a fake tithe so her and Gambit could stay together without having a problem for the thieves of him going to the other side. And this would kill all the thieves, obviously. And then I'm thinking at that moment, the thieves obviously should have double checked the tithe and see it's really the thing, especially who they're getting it from. But I love that they had the assassin later on in the episode actually say this to the thieves and say, you guys were too stupid to check the tithe. So I'm happy it was actually addressed. So at the ceremony, Gambit shows up with Bella and Rogue's like, I don't believe it. And then he knocks Bella down and he's like, the tithe is a fake. And she's like, I knew he didn't love that swamp witch. And they brawl. That was great. And then Wolverine has the best line where he goes, give me that ring, Gumbo. You ain't the marrying kind. I just love even in moments like this, they make great funny lines with Wolverine where they could just show him visually doing something like that, but they enhance it even more by making it funny as well. And then another great Wolverine line where Jean says, unless we find the real tithe box, every thief will be destroyed. And he goes, I don't care about which spirit ladies do what to which occasions. I'm here to stop a wedding. I just lost it at that line. So funny. But this is when the X-Ternal shows up, and it's been 10 years, and she right away sees that the thieves' tithe is false. And when Rogue goes to tell her what really happened, it just doesn't work that way, so she just zaps Rogue immediately. So you have to have Jean telepathically show her what happened. And now she grabs Belladonna, calling her a liar, sees what really happened, but Bobby's like, destroy her, destroy them all. And Gambit runs over and pushes him down and just goes, Bobby, shut up. Just hysterical moment. And Gambit's like, we need no more killing to honor you. Take her powers, but not her life. And I love the X-Ternal just like, all right, and then agrees and pieces out. I was like, okay. She totally sent Bernard the thief from 10 years ago just to a dark land away with no remorse at all or no mercy. And then with the one asked by Gambit, she's like, okay, I'll take the powers, but I'll let Bella stay here. But Bella's like, Raimi, don't leave me again. And Gambit gives the ring back to her and is like, this is not my home. I am not a thief or assassin. I'm an X-Man and I'm never coming back. This is a great closure for the episode for Gambit. I love this line, and it tied really well just to him being an X-Man now and getting a glimpse of some of his past and it being haunted by his past and dealing with some of those demons and then eventually coming back to where his real home is now. But you do feel bad for Bella here. Also, I did, and I thought that was good that they addressed that at least. Now, effectively, much better than last episode, they don't have the Professor X and Magneto stuff go on till the end of this episode, so it doesn't interrupt the flow of it. Like last episode where the Wolverine one, it was like 6 minutes left in the episode and they showed it and then left it where they actually closed with it here, which was much better. Again, I still prefer them do a full episode of this story with the Savage Land because it's just going on and we're not really getting much movement. But Magneto's like, when I left the fall, people were living here peacefully. Even at the ends of the earth, the horrors of war find their way into the human heart. So this is a great line by Magneto, and him and Professor X always have great philosophical lines like this and reflection. And then Barbarous shows up and confronts them with his forearms, and Magneto's like, Barbarous, I did not create you for this. And he's like, we mutates follow a new master now, so it's exciting. You're wondering who this is. They've been teasing. And he's like, you must surrender to me. And then the best is Professor X saves Magneto, because they don't have their powers, from Barbarous by hitting the beehive that happens to be above them. And it's so funny with the animation that this closes out from a far, wide shot of Barbarous with his forearms being attacked by all these bees. So funny. And it just ends. But it's so much better when they put that at the end of the episode and don't let it interrupt the main story, especially when like important like this one, like Gambit. So for me, this episode was just a really fun episode, and it's a very popular character in Gambit, so to get some more of his backstory was great, and they did it enough that they didn't use all of his backstory, but enough to get you really intrigued and learn more about the character and really make you appreciate where he is as an X-Men now. And I thought it had a lot of great lines, really funny lines, especially, of course, as always, from Wolverine. And Gambit had really good lines here, too. And even the External was a pretty cool character here. And I thought that they did a good job of getting all this exposition out, making it still interesting and getting you caught up with the rules of this land, with the assassins and the thieves. So overall, I'm going to give this one an 8.6. It's not amazing by any means, and it's not the most fascinating either, or one that like you're going to go back and remember, but I think it does a great job and is worthy of saying it's one of the better episodes of the series so far, especially because it deals with someone like Gambit, who again is such a popular, iconic character and does just justice to his story here. So let me know what you thought of this episode down below. I love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment. I try to respond as many as I can. And please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my reviews of the animated series. I'll also be doing X-Men 97 and comics and figures and everything X-Men. And I'll see you next time.